Sitaram, Sitaram. Siarama me saba jagajani, karahu pranam jori jugapani. For 169 years, the Hindu presence in another part of the world, Trinidad and Tobago, has been thriving and flourishing. And so we have come here to join with all, and we have listened to some wonderful experiences that have been shared in various conferences. And we too want to join in sharing our small experience and our small contribution towards the sustenance and propagation of Sanatan Dharma, of Hindu Dharma in another part of the world. And so I have my presentation in my pocket and I'll leave it there. Because as a teacher, I'm sure I'll capture your attention for the next 10 minutes or so. So here goes. Just a very quick, brief historical background. We have had the presence of Hindus and Hinduism in Trinidad and Tobago, which is in the West Indies. And I would not tell you where West Indies is. It's a landmass. But I think what is very important for all of us as the Hindu leadership in the world, it is our business. It must be our research to find out where Hindus are in every part of the world and to learn a little bit of where they are and what they are doing. So that must become a responsibility for all of us. But in 1492, the Spanish explorer Christopher Columbus, searching for India, landed up in the West Indies. He was searching for India and landed in the West Indies. So you see the karmic connection between India and the West Indies, and Trinidad is one of 20-odd islands in the West Indies. And so during that time, that part of the world went through various colonial rulers. We had the British, the French, and the Spanish. But ultimately, in the time of the British, to revive the flagging fortunes of the sugarcane plantations, Indian indentured individuals were brought largely from UP and Bihar. So most of our foreparents came from UP and Bihar to revive the plantations, which were financially floundering in that time. And for the period 1845 to 1917, during that period of time, many indentured laborers to work on the sugarcane plantations and the rice plantations and other types of work came to Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Suriname, and other smaller islands in the West Indies. But primarily between Trinidad and Guyana, most of the indentured laborers came. And at the end of indenture period, land was given to those who came to work on the plantations. And we all know the Hindu affinity with the land. It is not something that is given up. And so most of the indentured laborers thereafter chose to remain on the plantation. Well, that has gone, and they were now owners of the land. So from being workers on the land, they became the owners of the land. And since that period of time, there is constant movement between Trinidad and Tobago and India. And so even though Indian indentured labor came to an end in 1917, there has been constant movement between people from Bharat into Trinidad and Tobago. There was never a year or a period where there was not any movement. And so in Trinidad and Tobago currently, we have people from every state in Bharat living and marrying and working in Trinidad and Tobago. And we too, many Trinidadians have married in Bharat and live across here. In fact, my first cousin, just half an hour from here in Saket, she got married to a former minister's son, Tyagi, and she lives nearby in Saket. Simply to say that the constant movement between our land and this land never came to an end with the cessation or the end of indentured labor during that period, 1845 to 1917. So our presence over a prolonged period of 169 years, that period has given birth and growth and rise to the practice and propagation of Sanatan Hindu Dharma in our small corner of the world of 1.3 million people, of which 250,000 are Hindus. So we have a very flourishing and thriving and solidified group of Hindus, consolidated in actions and activities and events to ensure that we maintain properly our Sanatan Dharma, which our foreparents came with them from India. And so during that period of time, we have had a former Prime Minister, Basdev Pandey, whom some of you would remember. He went back to his ancestral village and met all his relatives. Our current Prime Minister, Shrimati Kamla Prasad Bisesar, she went back to her community and found all her relatives there. And she has been only the second Hindu woman in the world to become a prime minister. So think about that. Only in India, only in Trinidad and Tobago has a Hindu woman risen to the prime ministership of a country. And so in brief, that's a little or a short historical background. But in any context and in any condition, living in a country and surviving and maintaining the Hindu values, we live in secular states, all of us. We live in secular states. So there will always be a sense of tension. There will always be a certain amount of friction existing in the preservation of Hindu values and what is considered as secular governance. And so we too experience that. But while we talk about the success of our schools, the antecedents, or what comes before, each factor that comes before, and what are the things to be considered and required to be done to ensure our preservation, those are the things that have ultimately ensured in the success of our schools. And so even though there's political tension, there will be governments that are favorable or accommodating to us. And when there is a change in political regime, there are times when the government is not so accommodating to us. But what is important is that we have developed the leadership. We have developed the leadership and the capacity and the capability to understand the political culture and the political environment of any moment, and therefore to act accordingly. And this is a big message for all of us, wherever we live. It is how we interact and the political culture we develop in our own religious organizations. That is what is required and necessary for us to ensure our own preservation. And so we have to become elastic. We have to know when to stretch, and we have to know when to contract. And it is that kind of strategic thinking that will help us to continue till the end of time. Kalpantme, at the end of the kalpa, we will still, if there is any dharma that will still be in the world, it is Sanatan Hindu Dharma will be present at the end of the world. There are those that will come into existence and go out, but we came in at the beginning of creation and will still be here at the end of creation. And so, therefore, understanding the political culture and environment and conditions in which we must all exist, and wherever we are in the world, that is a constant. Those are the things that we live, the environment we live in, and what we have to consider. And so our own organization, the Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha, and may I just take a moment, I saw him, I asked our venerable leader, Shri Sat Maharaj, to kindly stand. If he's here, yes, he's here. I just want you to give a slight acknowledgement to our leader. Shri Sat Maharaj, he is 84 years, a very close friend of Shri Ashok Singhal-ji, and he has been to Bharat over 25 times during his period of leadership of our organization. But sufficient to say at this point in time that our organization, Sanatan Dharma Mahasabha, has learned how to respond to the challenges of leadership. If we are fixed in a leadership mold, then at some point in time, our organization will suddenly find itself dying. And so we have to develop the cultureship of leadership. Generally, people entrust leadership to those who are well-liked. Well, as we all know, that is only one element of leadership. Leadership has to be strategic, manage risk, manage transformation, manage change, manage all the various resources. All of those are elements of leadership that we have learned over the period of 169 years how to manage and develop. And so in our organization, we have professionals from every field. We have many pundits on our executive. We have businessmen, we have doctors, lawyers, high court judges, the full spectrum of leadership. And each individual will bring a certain value to our organization. And so even though individuals come and go over a period of 169 years, we have maintained a solid organization. We have developed processes and systems and structures to ensure that we are currently able to do all that is required to do. And when things change, we too have to respond to change. The only difference is we respond to change proactively. We don't wait, and when change comes, then we try to think and to figure out and to contemplate what is to be done. We try to be very proactive in understanding all the changes that are happening, not only in Trinidad, not only in the West Indies, but all the changes that are happening in the world and how they impact on us, how they affect us, and ultimately how we respond to all the various challenges that come our way. And so we too have developed a strategic governance model that we do not lead from what's in our head. We have to document and plan all the things that are necessary, all the roles that are necessary to understand and to fill and to perform. We have all of those things well understood and agreed, and therefore we have been able to implement all of those things. And so we have entered into school construction. We have built 43 primary schools. We have 5 secondary schools. We have 16 early childhood centers. And they are the highest performing schools by any religious board in any part of the West Indies. That our primary schools are top performers. The students win many scholarships, and they are well sought after for entry at all levels, from 3 to 5 years, from 6 years, and thereafter. Our schools are very much sought after. And so our curriculum, and we just heard that in some places, Bharat is not in education. Well, fortunately in Trinidad, Bharat is very much in education. And so every morning, our children, for half an hour in all the schools, half an hour of singing of bhajans, Hanuman Chalisa, Ramayan chanting, Gita Shlok chanting, all of those things, not only on mornings, but throughout the day, everything is there. We follow the advice of Bhagavad Gita, Shraddhanam Labhate Jnanam. Shraddhanam Labhate Jnanam. From faith, everything else, all the knowledge will come. As we say, it's a wonderful gathering like this, and I'll wrap up in a minute because, I could talk for 12 hours like this. But so many individuals, almost everybody here has some professor, doctor, chief justice before the name. Almost everybody else has BA, MA, LLB, and so on. Goswami Tulsidas, he had none of those. Sant Tulsidas. All of us have traveled all over the world to all kinds of conferences. He did none of that. He ran from Ayodhya, Allahabad, Kashi, and he gave us all the knowledge in the world. And so we have followed the model of religion in education, not the other way around. Religion first, and all the forms of education are anchored in that. And so we have cultivated our relationships with all the stakeholders, other religious boards. We have become the leadership there. And so we continue to build on our own experiences. We have a very high-performing education system. We understand the environment and the culture and the context in which we operate. we agree and define and plan and implement all those things that are required to be done. And so our way forward, lastly, therefore, in any education system, there are three main levels: the early childhood, the primary, and the secondary. In Trinidad and Tobago, by May of next year, every child 3 to 5 years will be in a preschool center. And we have one of the best models in the world. In many of our schools on the same compound, there is a preschool, a primary school, a secondary school, and a mandir in most of our schools. So when you come on morning, the first thing, the students go in the mandir, they offer flower, tulsi, wave arati, and then they go for their secular education. And in more and more of our school compounds, we are going to establish and have these four things. At the front of every compound, the mandir, preschool, primary school, and the secondary school. So in our part of the world, this has been in brief our education experience, how we have put education to rest on a foundation of religion. And therefore, our success has come from that process. Sitaram.